Hi everyone. This is just a in-depth look at Summit Point in the Pro Mazda. I don't do these every week, but when I feel I've particularly got the hang of a track and feel I know it extremely well, which I do with Summit Point, we've been racing this since the Rookies Cup, I thought I'd do a in-depth guide and give a bit more detail than just the basic lap. Now, I'll try and do this in one take, so if it doesn't sound particularly well scripted, it's because it isn't. I just kind of making it up as I go along. But here's a lap. Now, in entry into the final corner, it's important to get down a gear and get the car turned early into the apex. You want to get the front right very close to that inside curb, and it's quite easy to miss it. And if you do miss it, it tends to affect your trajectory through the whole corner. Now, when I go through there, you can see I'm not using all the track. If you go out completely wide, I just find the car, there's a few bumps out there, and it unsettles the car. And although you may gain initial time because you can carry more apex speed, the second you hit the bumps, it compromises you all down the straight. So unless you can get it 100% right, which is you get over the curb, you don't get caught in the curve, and you don't go wide enough to hit the bumps, I find it's just better to stay inside the curb, and that's where my best results have come from. Now just running down the straight. Now in this corner, I'm getting hard on the brakes just slightly after the second cone. Now it's important to kind of overslow the car, and then well before the apex, you're clean releasing the brakes. So at that point you're completely off, and the car's momentum just kind of flows over. You don't want to be braking and turning too much, as you tend to unsettle it, and you've got to get hard back on the throttle to push you out. So as you get to the apex, you can go pretty much full on the throttle, use all the track width, and get a good exit. Braking after the 2 cone, off the brake early and hard on the throttle to push you out. Now it's just flat through this section. And this brings you up to probably the hardest corner on the track. It's an especially difficult corner because you kind of enter it as an angle. Like on most corners you line the car up straight with the outside of the track and turn into the apex. But here, you're kind of aiming at that side, but you're coming at it at an angle, and the second you hit the outside of the track is when you turn. Now on initial turning, you want to get the car over into this inside curb, but you don't want to get the left wheel up on that inside curb, or else it tends to launch it. Then you just push the car out and over that outside curb. Now, you quite often have to do quite a lot of correction through there, but I didn't this time. Get on the throttle early the second you hit that inside apex and you push the car along. Now I tend to bring it straight, and that lets you enter from further left. You sort of straight line that little bit of off track there. And this right hand is just flat. Don't worry too much about getting too close to it. You don't want to clip it. So just get the front of the car somewhere near that curbing, as this next corner is the most important. Now I've taken a bit of downforce off the car, so I'm not quite braking as late, but I'm braking around just before you enter the tree in this downforce configuration, which I think I've got 27 front wing on. Now you want to kind of blend your turn in and braking zone, so you're turning in and trail braking into the apex while carrying quite a lot of speed still. Then you get hard on the throttle to push your car out, but you have to get the car back completely left, as getting back to the left hand side of the track for entry into the next turn is vital. This next corner if you get it slightly wrong, you probably pay for the whole next segment. So get the car back to the left. Now, you don't do a lot of braking. You only just very slowly slow the car on entry into here. You full throttle, just slightly on the brakes. And just kind of, you've got to get the front wheel right in close to that inside curb, because the way the track cambers off, it sort of carries the car through. And that will keep it somewhere in the middle of the track. You don't want to push the car out wide here. It's important to keep it fairly narrow on entry. And then go full throttle, and then just sort of slightly modulating the throttle. It's very important again to get it back over into this right hand curbing. Just sort of trying to pick your line and modulating the throttle, because from then on in you can just go flat. Not lifting at all through this section. So this is all kind of one section. It kind of all flows together. If you miss any of the braking markers or points in here, you pretty much lose time through the whole 3 corners through here. So braking just for the tree. Into a tight apex in there and quickly get the car back to the left. In here, don't barely scrub any speed on entry in here. Just a very slight brake. Make sure you get very close to that curb and kind of keep the car narrow through here. Slowly picking the throttle up, just adjusting it to make sure now flat. Now through here you've got to get the car down close to that inside curbing. And if you're getting close to the inside curbing, it will kind of, the camber of the track again will hold it right. If you don't get it quite inside, close to the inside curb, or even worse, if you clip the curb, you're going to have to get right out of the throttle to keep it on the track. So I'm letting the car just run out onto the outside curb just to, I could keep it tighter, but just to keep minimum speed scrub. And again, just down one gear and into a tight inside apex through here. And not pushing it out past the curbing. Once you get into that inside apex, once you get the car into here, you can kind of quickly get hard in the throttle, which makes the back end of the car squat a little bit and gives it a bit of grip through the corner, I find. Sort of like the harder you get in the throttle, the tighter line you can take. And that's the completed lap. Now I'll just, that was a 204.8. 204.58, sorry. And I'll just do the whole lap in fast motion. Now just braking off the 2 cone. To the apex and hard on the throttle to accelerate out. Just wait for the car to get a bit settled before getting hard on the throttle. Again, straight until you meet the outside of the track, then turn in. Don't clip the inside curb and push the car out. Flat through here. Braking hard and trail braking into the apex. Getting straight back to the left and kind of throwing the car in here, letting the road turn it. Modulating the throttle a little bit to get that inside apex, now just flat. And getting into the apex to give you a good exit and carry a lot of speed through here. Now this was in time trial weather, I'm actually in a time trial. I ran a sequence of laps and this was my best overall. I hope this in-depth guide has been useful.